Big Liverpool transfer update. Semenyo, Wirtz, and Guehi headlines are heating up as January approaches, plus injury worries and a major set-piece issue revealed. Subscribe now for daily Liverpool news, transfer updates, and match reactions. Antoine Semenyo transfer call made as Man City, Liverpool, and Man U plot moves. Big debate. Antoine Semenyo has lit up the Premier League at times for Bournemouth, and his release clause means he's easily available in January with Manchester City, Liverpool, and Man U all keen. The transfer window hasn't even opened yet, and we already know that Antoine Semenyo's future promises to be the big story in January. The Bournemouth star opted to stay on the South Coast after interest in the summer, signing a new contract to start the season. But that always appeared a temporary solution, particularly after details of a £65 million release clause in his deal became public. With 9 goals in 17 Bournemouth appearances, the Ghanaian is hot property and almost certain to be on the move at the start of 2026. The forward is said to want a deal completed at the start of the month, with Manchester City leading the race and also wanting a move wrapped up quickly. But there is also interest from the likes of Manchester United, Liverpool, and Tottenham. We've asked our team of writers at Mirror Football who Semenyo should join next month, or whether he's better off sticking with the Cherries and Andoni Iraola. Read more. Liverpool's plan to hijack Antoine Semenyo transfer ahead of private meeting. Read more. Man City, Liverpool, and Man U learn what Antoine Semenyo wants rapidly amid transfergate. Andy Dunn. First things first, Semenyo and Bournemouth need to strike while the iron is relatively hot. Sure, Semenyo has scored in his last 3 Premier League games, but none of those goals was in a winning cause, and this run had been preceded by 7 blanks. Semenyo has also gone 10 Premier League matches without an assist. The $65 million release clause will be met in this January transfer window, but if Semenyo stays at Bournemouth, there is no guarantee that figure would be seen as value in the summer. So a January move makes sense all round. It's nice for the 26-year-old, whose career numbers are good but not startling, to have so many blue-chip suitors, and there's an obvious attraction in a move to Manchester City. But Semenyo's best bet could well be Manchester United, if their interest is deadly serious. At City, Semenyo will have to take his chances with the vagaries of the Pep Guardiola selection process. That doesn't always work out well, ask Jack Grealish. And unless Mohamed Salah does leave, Semenyo will also face a tough fight for a starting place at Liverpool. There is also competition at Old Trafford for sure, but it now feels like an exciting project and one that Semenyo could be front and center of rather than just another option. Jeremy Cross. Semenyo has a big decision to make, but one thing we do know is that he has to leave Bournemouth. Semenyo deserves to be showcasing his skills on the biggest stages, which rules out a move to Manchester United, a club which has ruined talents like him in recent years. Moving to Liverpool to be Mo Salah's heir apparent would be a thankless task, given what the Egyptian king has achieved, while Liverpool are going through a period of huge uncertainty when it comes to Arne Slot, which leaves Manchester City as Semenyo's best destination. He would have to work hard to earn regular starts under Guardiola, and there would be no guarantees. But he would be learning from the best manager in the business when it comes to developing his skills, not to mention winning trophies. Sam Mead. Semenyo's decision to stay at Bournemouth in the summer looks a masterstroke, especially when you consider some of the struggles of his former teammates. Miloš Kerkez at Liverpool a case in point. His release clause makes him very attainable, but if he could strike a deal to remain with the Cherries and move for the same fee in the summer, I would stay where I was. Mid-season moves are always a risk. You have no pre-season to get up to speed with their patterns for one. And waiting a few months allows Semenyo to see how the land lies at the various clubs. If Salah is really destined to move on, then maybe a move to Liverpool becomes more attractive. Manchester City are an obvious option, but he'd have to accept not playing every minute. So if I were him, I'd stick rather than twist right now. John Cross.
Semenyo should go to Manchester City and be an absolute superstar. There is nothing like being wanted, pursued, and championed, especially when the manager who wants you is Guardiola. What an opportunity for one of the best Premier League wingers. He can operate with both feet on both wings, is a big personality, leader, and scorer of big goals. This guy's got the lot. He's been phenomenal for Bournemouth, and I was amazed that clubs did not push harder for him last summer. But the reason he should choose Manchester City over Liverpool, Manchester United, and the rest is that feeling of being wanted, that sense that he will be given an incredible platform to shine by the best manager in the Premier League with a team on the rise again. Yes, there will be competition for places, but City have moved for him despite the depth of players like Jeremy Doku and Semenyo. But he's a step up in my view on Semenyo. It's interesting that Semenyo renegotiated his contract, and Bournemouth knew inserting a clause would make them vulnerable. The uncertainty has undoubtedly impacted on Bournemouth, but that underlines the player's quality. Scott Trotter. Bournemouth and Semenyo have been preparing for a January exit since the Cherry star signed his new contract, so the time is now for a move. But transfers during the season are not always well suited to smart decisions. Semenyo has no shortage of suitors and plenty of uncertainty. Where Liverpool and Manchester United will finish the season is anyone's guess, and for Semenyo to leave the South Coast, trophies and European football will be preferred on the agenda. So I can understand why Manchester City appears to be the player's favored choice. Playing time won't be immediately guaranteed, but a Premier League winner's medal could be won. Semenyo's versatility will offer multiple chances to come into Guardiola's thinking, and a move presents an opportunity to work with one of the most iconic coaches of his era. Some may point to Guardiola's future as a reason to look elsewhere, but it's hardly like Ruben Amorim and Arne Slot have always looked secure options in recent months. Neil McClayman. Does Manchester City really need Antoine Semenyo, or are they buying the Ghana forward to stop their title rivals recruiting the best Premier League player in a club not playing in Europe this season? Guardiola has spent big in the last two windows, and summer signing Rayon Cherki is now playing superbly as City have won 8 in a row. The system and the players are working well. Liverpool might need a replacement for Mo Salah this January, though they would be better buying Marc Guehi 6 months before the end of his contract. Arsenal bought Eberechi Eze and Noni Madueke in the summer to play out wide, and can't keep spending. City is a great move for Semenyo, but there are historic warnings from clubs who bought big late in the season. Malcolm Allison paid a club record £200,000 for Rodney Marsh when City were 4 points clear at the top in 1972, before finishing 4th. Aston Villa made a mistake buying Tony Cassarino in March of 1990, and in February of 1996, Newcastle bought Faustino Asprilla for £6.7 million when Kevin Keegan's team was 9 points clear at the top of the table, before finishing 4 points behind Manchester United.
Liverpool told to expect Florian Wirtz boost as Arne Slot sent January transfer message. Exclusive. Former Arsenal striker Alan Smith on Florian Wirtz's form at Liverpool and why Arne Slot shouldn't be looking to sign more attackers next month amid Antoine Semenyo. While there are still improvements for Liverpool to make, there is no doubt that things have started to look up for Arne Slot in recent games. The losing streak has come to an end. Liverpool was far from perfect against Wolves last weekend, but got over the line. 7 days before that, it beat Tottenham in North London in a match that Slot's men probably wouldn't have won only a few weeks earlier. Playing better and being more convincing is the aim, of course, but it is a good thing that Liverpool has begun to pick up points again. Its spot among the Champions League contenders has been regained. Central to the upturn in fortunes has been the form of some key men. Florian Wirtz has looked much better in the last few games, scoring his first goal, while Curtis Jones and Hugo Ekitike have stepped up too. Wirtz is getting there, former Arsenal striker Alan Smith tells Liverpool.com. It will have been a relief for him getting his first goal the other day, which always makes a big difference. And aside from that, he looks sharper now, and playing off the left mainly gives him a little bit more freedom just to drift inside and maybe find space.
He'll be pleased. Certainly Liverpool and Slot will be pleased now, and if he can offer a goal threat regularly, which he did in Germany, so there's no reason I don't think he can't here, then that would be a boost for Liverpool. Alexander Isak is set for a sustained period on the sidelines, but only 3 players in the Premier League have scored more goals than Ekitike. With Mohamed Salah to add back into the mix too, Slot has options. Liverpool has gone from having too many strikers to not enough, perhaps, but Ekitike is a very good striker, so they'd obviously want to keep him fit. Mo Salah coming back in a couple of weeks, then that gives them another option. I know that for Egypt, he is playing more centrally, I think, in the AFCON, so that could be something going forward. But they'll just hope that they don't get any more injuries. As I said, Wirtz is in there, and Ekitike has done so well since arriving at Liverpool, so they'll just hope that they can keep everyone fit now. In terms of January, I don't think Slot would want to buy in terms of attacking players, because there are too many. When Isak came in, you thought, how's that going to work with Ekitike? So even with PSR, they've spent a fortune last summer. Whether they've got any headroom or not, I'd be surprised. They might buy players in different positions, but certainly not in the attacking slots, I don't think. In midfield, while Liverpool could do with some more depth, Jones has stepped up, dovetailing nicely with Wirtz and helping create chances for Ekitike. Jones has been a good player for Liverpool for a long time, Smith, speaking on behalf of best betting sites, continued. He's never really established himself in the starting 11. He's been in and out, and sometimes that happens when you're an academy product. But he's an experienced boy now, and his versatility is really handy, so he's a good lad to have. He could have a chance for England. I was just looking at the last squad, and Alex Scott was in there, Adam Wharton. For tournaments, that versatility is quite often valued by managers. I think Lee Carsley gave him his debut. He's got about 6 caps, so he certainly might be one Thomas Tuchel would look at.
Oliver Glasner delivers a clear Marc Guehi statement as Liverpool among the clubs keeping tabs on the England ace with his contract running down. Crystal Palace manager Oliver Glasner has delivered a clear message on Marc Guehi, with Liverpool among the clubs keeping tabs on the England ace with his contract running down. Crystal Palace boss Oliver Glasner gave a straightforward answer when he was asked if Liverpool transfer target Marc Guehi could leave in the winter window. Guehi almost moved to Anfield on deadline day in September, only for the deal to fall through at the last minute when the Eagles failed to source a replacement. Since then, it has been confirmed that the 25-year-old won't sign a new contract, and he could therefore leave as a free agent next summer. In addition to Liverpool, European giants, including Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Inter Milan, have been linked with moves for Guehi this week. They, though, would wait until they could sign him for free. Of course, we want to keep everyone, Glasner bluntly told Sky Sports when he was asked about what could happen with Guehi in the next few weeks. The Austrian has been pleased with how Guehi reacted to the disappointment of his Liverpool move collapsing. And with an opportunity to win more silverware this season and kick on again, Glasner wants his best players to stick together as long as possible. "Let's see," he said, when asked if Crystal Palace could be active in the market. "When I see the way we are playing against a Tottenham team that was in 2 very tight situations offside, but it looked like every shot was a goal. One set play, and you just need to look at the stats. We are the team that is constantly and mostly underperforming in scoring goals from the chances that we create. But nobody does it on purpose, and it is now our job to get this fixed. In the calendar year table, we are 6th in the Premier League, even though we lost today. 37 games, 59 points, winning 2 trophies, playing in the knockout stage of a European competition. It was by far the best season in Crystal Palace's history. Everybody can be proud, but for me, it feels like we are not really far away from being really constantly in these areas. But, to be honest, little things we are missing that are important to stay where we are." Regardless of Crystal Palace's progress, Guehi is expected to depart at some point in the next 12 months. With uncertainty over the future of Ibrahima Konate at this stage, Liverpool is going to be in need of at least one centre-back in that period. Giovanni Leone was signed from the Italian side Parma in August, but he sustained an ACL injury on his first appearance. Joe Gomez, meanwhile, has had interest in each of the last 2 summers.
Liverpool.com says Guehi would be a great signing for any of Europe's biggest clubs, especially as a free agent. The hope has to be that given he came so close to moving to Anfield last summer, his plan hasn't changed. Inside Liverpool's set-piece woes and how Anfield Chiefs plan to fix Red's killer problem. Liverpool have conceded 12 times from set-piece situations this season. It's a worrying trend that needs to change, writes Paul Gorst. Those fortunate to have spent any time in the company of Arne Slot this season will then notice the Liverpool head coach has developed a bugbear for set pieces. Rarely has a press conference passed without the Reds boss donating a portion of his time to discussing what has become a wider trend at the cutting edge of the English game. With Arsenal's expertise helping them to the top of the Premier League as the new year draws in, and so many other teams fixating on becoming proficient in corners and long throws, it's no surprise to hear Slot, a tactical obsessive, speaking so consistently about the latest developments. Liverpool themselves attempted to join the increasing number of teams who are looking to gain an advantage from long throws by spending time working on it during the summer months. On their pre-season training camp in Japan, the likes of Ryan Gravenberch, Connor Bradley, and Milos Kerkez all gave it a try as Slot and his backroom staff sought to leave no stone unturned in their efforts to improve. In the searing heat of Tokyo's JFA Dreamfield complex, the mosquitoes swarmed as the players floundered. The long throw plan was eventually shelved when it became apparent Joe Gomez, who was back home on Merseyside treating an injury, was the only player who came close to excelling at long throws. Slot spoke in May about needing more weapons for Liverpool's attempts to defend the title, and while many assumed, at the time, that the Dutchman was talking about the summer transfer window and what ultimately proved to be an ambitious, historic outlay of around £440 million, the coach was also speaking about adding more parts to the team's all-around game. Liverpool initially advertised for a set-piece coach over the summer, saying the successful applicant would be a tactical specialist responsible for maximizing the team's performance in all set-piece situations. The job specification, which was published on networking and recruitment site LinkedIn, called for someone with a substantial knowledge of the technical and tactical understanding of football, and an applicant who was across the latest advancements of both the Premier League and European football as a whole. Tasks included analyzing upcoming opponents and their approach to defending and attacking set pieces, designing an effective defense to them, and offering specialized coaching on positions and man-marking assignments. Eventually, Liverpool opted to hand the role internally to Aaron Briggs, who had arrived the previous summer as part of Slot's newly formed backroom team as a first-team individual development coach, before giving the set-piece duties exclusively in September. The fact that Liverpool's ability to defend set pieces has got considerably worse at a time when Briggs's sole focus is now on that area of the game speaks to how much the preparatory work is hostage to the variables on the pitch on the day itself, but there can be no denying it simply hasn't been good enough so far for the Premier League champions, regardless of where you apportion the blame.
Liverpool injury latest and return dates as 5 Red Stars could yet miss Leeds game. Arne Slot has welcomed back Connor Bradley and Cody Gakpo as Liverpool prepare to face Leeds United, but Alexander Isak is one of 4 potential absentees through injury, while Mo Salah is still away. Despite a hectic festive fixture schedule, Arne Slot has managed to steer Liverpool back into form in the Premier League. After a turbulent few months, the Reds have remained unbeaten in the league since late November. While their performances may not be entirely convincing, they are managing to secure victories. Thanks to a string of positive results, Liverpool have climbed back into the top 4 and are now serious contenders for a Champions League spot next season. Their most recent triumph was a 2-1 victory over bottom-of-the-league Wolves, with goals from Ryan Gravenberch and Florian Wirtz securing the win. Slot was able to welcome back key players Connor Bradley and Cody Gakpo, who returned to the squad following injuries. Their return will undoubtedly bolster Liverpool during this busy period, as Dominik Szoboszlai, who missed the last game through suspension, will also be available again. Those key players being back in contention will help the side, as they are without Mohamed Salah due to his participation in the Africa Cup of Nations.
However, Slot still has a few injury worries to contend with as his team prepares for a quick turnaround to face Leeds United, a team that gave them a tough time earlier this month in a 3-3 draw at Elland Road. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at the latest Liverpool injury news ahead of their next crucial Premier League encounter. Alexander Isak, ankle. Alexander Isak picked up a major injury blow in Liverpool's win over Tottenham. The striker lasted just 11 minutes on the pitch, scoring for the side but getting caught by Mickey Van Den in the process. The club record signing is now set for a spell out of the side with an ankle issue that will take a few months to heal from. On his injury, Arne Slot said, "It's going to be a long injury, a couple of months. That's a big disappointment for him and also for us. I'm confident he can play a part in back end of season. It's been a really challenging and difficult period for him. You join a new club, he was very excited, and you want to show immediately your qualities, but that was simply impossible. If you haven't trained for 2 or 3 months at serious level, in this league, you have to be on top of your game to impact a game of football. We knew it would take months. We knew it could take him time. That's why he's so unlucky he's now injured. As we all saw with his goals versus West Ham and Tottenham, he got closer to the player he was at Newcastle." Possible return date, Spring 2026. Wataru Endo, ankle. Wataru Endo has a minor ankle injury which has kept him out of action over the past few matches. The Japanese international is a possible return in the next few days, though it remains to be seen if he is available. Possible return date, Leeds United, January 1. Joe Gomez, muscular. Joe Gomez struggled with a muscle issue against Brighton earlier this month, though it is not thought to be a major problem. There is some hope that he can be involved again in the new year once he fully returns for Liverpool. Possible return date, Leeds United, January 1.